Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sabansi. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a pretty interesting show. We're going to be continuing on with this story. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. So as y'all know, this Shannon Sharpe situation, this news is catching on like wildfire. Everyone is talking about it. But predominantly, it's everyone in independent media and a lot of news publications, various websites, various articles like the New York Post, USA Today, and so many others, right? But the big boys in sports media like ESPN and these other guys, they're not talking about it, right? And I thought that FS1 wasn't going to acknowledge it, Fox Sports, because I just felt like they weren't going to talk about their own situation. They seldom do, although from time to time they do. So this afternoon, we're just kind of going through the internet here, and I came across a clip that was centered on some comments that FS1 analyst Rob Parker, who's part of The Odd Couple with Chris Broussard, one of my favorite shows, and essentially what they were doing was they were reacting to the story that all of us are reacting to, right? Which is the Shannon Sharpe departure from Undisputed after 7 years. So while I was listening to this soundbite, Rob Parker gave some pretty interesting insight that I think a lot of people would have thought, but I got some validation because this was someone working at the same company, you know, with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharpe. So it's an insider, essentially an insider. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what Rob Parker had to say. I want you guys to pay close attention to what Rob Parker had to say and to some of the things that Chris Broussard had to say in response to some of the points that Rob Parker was trying to make. So what we want to do is want to play that for you now, and then we're going to really come back and get into the meat and potatoes of this video. So take a listen to that.
News of Shannon Sharpe leaving Undisputed. I think it's a big loss for FS1. I thought they had, you know, at least gotten to a point where Skip and Shannon could coexist. You know, they were still doing the show great. And, but apparently they are not going to go on.
I remember the moment because I saw it.
Yeah.
And the moment that Skip said to Shannon that he was jealous of Tom Brady, he was criticizing Tom Brady's play. And Skip basically said that, like, the criticism wasn't valid, and the only reason you're criticizing Tom Brady is because you're jealous of him. I at that moment, Chris, I said that those two just got separated. Like, I did. Like, at that moment. You remember, you know what I'm talking about. Am I right? That was a moment.
Yeah, I totally. And during that show, if you remember, Shannon took off his glasses.
Yep, and Skip said, "Don't take your glasses off,
or put your glasses.
Put your glasses back on." That's what he said.
And yeah, a lot of people didn't like that, and Shannon put them on. I don't think he should have. I would have just kept them bad boys off for the rest of the show. Shannon was terrific. There's no ifs, ands, or I mean, you could almost forget. I mean, he's big, so it's hard to forget he was a great athlete, right? But he was so good that wasn't like his takes were getting respect for the takes themselves.
He had morphed into just a broadcaster.
Right.
Like that.
Right.
That's what he had morphed into, not just some football guy.
So you heard what Rob Parker had to say. Now, Rob essentially said that he knew that this thing was on a downhill trajectory the moment they had that blow up on television when Skip Bayless crossed the line, and he decided to go extra personal by basically saying that, listen, you are jealous of Tom Brady. You were nowhere near the player Tom Brady was, right? And then Shannon Sharpe started going back and forth, and Shannon Sharpe was like, I'm an MF and, you know, Hall of Famer. Right. And you could see Shannon start to really get beside himself. And then Shannon took off his glasses. The reason I think Shannon took off his glasses was because he was just losing it. He was getting really upset. And then Skip said to him, put your glasses back on. And then Shannon Sharpe did that. I think a lot of people got upset that Shannon did that. A lot of people if we're just being totally honest with you, a lot of people got made fun of Shannon Sharpe for doing that, like by putting your glasses back on while you listen to Skip Bayless. And a lot of people have been giving him the smoke because, like, well, when it came to John Moran and these people, you ready to throw knuckles with these guys, but then Skip Bayless tells you to put your glasses back on. You cordially do so. But according to Rob Parker, he believes that was it. That was the final straw. Yes, the Damar Hamlin situation was pretty serious, but I think he feels like this one was really, really personal, right? I think he's saying that this was the one where Shannon Sharpe had kind of an eye-opening moment about his relationship or lack thereof with Skip Bayless, because at the time when that exchange took place, Shannon said, you can go back and watch the clip. He said, "Really, Skip? Really, Skip? You gonna say that to me? Really?" And I think at that moment, Shannon said that because he was hurt, because he couldn't believe that one of his contemporaries, one of his partners, would pretty much throw him under the bus for Tom Brady. And I think Shannon was really hurt by that. And I think that's the reason why Rob Parker is saying that, which means that this is probably something a lot of people felt, right? But for Rob Parker and Chris Broussard to say that, it lets you know that that was probably the reason, right? Now they could be speculating, but that's probably the reason. And then if you listen also very carefully to that same clip, you'll hear Chris Broussard say, if it was me, you told me to put my glasses back on, I would keep my glasses off for the entire show. Like, there's no way I'm putting on my glasses after that. You ain't going to sit up here and try to run me on this, punk me on this show. So that's what Rob Parker had to say. So what are my thoughts to that? Well, my thoughts at the time were, I didn't think it was as simple as Shannon Sharpe saying, you know what, I'm done with Skip Bayless. I'm out of here. You disrespected me. Because I feel like there were a lot of things at work. You're under contract. There's so many things underway. So I didn't think Shannon Sharpe would have such a knee-jerk reaction in the moment and just be like, okay, I'm done. I'm not coming to work tomorrow, right? Because you're still under contract. And it turns out that maybe instead Shannon probably was the last straw for him, but he decided to take a more pragmatic approach, which was he decided to ensure that his departure would be done in stages. So he's like, listen, this thing is no longer working out. What can we do? And they found a way to buy him out of his contract and for him to go his own way. He didn't just make an abrupt decision and say, well, I'm leaving, because if he did that, that's a breach of contract. They could say, but you're under contract. You can't just stand up and say you're leaving because you're still under contract. So he probably took the other approach, which was, let me see if we can just solve this situation amicably and we can just go our separate ways. And it looks like that was what he was able to do. And I think a lot of people are happy for Shannon Sharpe that he's finally moving on. For me, I'm not really looking at it that way, because I'm not someone that's going to tell someone how to conduct their business and how to live their life, if just because that's what I think they should do. Because I don't really know what's happening in the background, right? I don't know what's happening behind closed doors. I don't understand the situation clearly, right? It's like almost, you're looking at a relationship from the outside and you're like, man, these two people should not be together. You should leave her, or she should leave him, right? Based on the things you're seeing outside, but you don't really know what's going on in the background, right? So you just kind of hope that things kind of sort themselves out. So I wasn't one of those people that say he should leave, because it's not my place, because it's not my situation, to be totally honest with you. It's up to him to decide that. And I know that if I say, oh, Shannon, you should leave, I don't have another job for Shannon Sharpe. Most people that were saying, Shannon, you should leave, they don't have a job for Shannon Sharpe. So Shannon Sharpe probably did what was in the best interest of him. And I think that's probably the reason why he ensured that he was able to secure at least his show, the Club Shay Shay, that he can go with that, right? So, I don't disagree with what Rob Parker had to say. I think it's a valid hunch. I think a lot of people felt that same way, but for sure, that was a seminal moment in that relationship where you just knew it would never be the same. It would just never be the same. I mean, it was bad, right? It was bad because you're throwing under the bus your current partner for somebody else. It was bad. It was bad. It's like tantamount to saying to your significant other, you're just jealous. I keep talking about that person because you were never the person that person was. That's pretty bad. Now, obviously, it's not to that extent, but You get my point, right? So I think Rob Parker makes an excellent point, and I think his words carry weight because he's someone that actually works at Fox Sports. I don't, you do, he does. So for him to say that, it must mean that there must have been some internal murmurs where people were like, what's going on here? Maybe that was a little bit too far. Maybe this thing is coming to a conclusion. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think about what Rob Parker, I can't even speak today, what Rob Parker had to say? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section, and we'll catch you guys on the next show. Peace.